What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Zach Hankins for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. And he wanted me to talk about Charlie Kirk and the rally in which he lost his life. Now, I'm kind of breaking my rule here. I'm assuming that Zach probably didn't see my video. So I decided this week to no longer really talk politics on this channel. I have a secondary channel, the No Spin Zone, which there's a link to that channel in the pinned comment in the comments section below. Right, so in the pinned comment at the top, there's a link to that channel. And there's already some videos up there already. And that's the channel which I'm going to talk politics from now on. I might, because I know it's still going to be some residual viewers who still are missing some of these videos and not seeing it. There might still be every now and then a political video up here, but for the most part, all my content on politics is going to be on that other channel. But I'll make an exception here because, Zach has donated quite a few times and he's, been a long-time subscriber. So look, we all know what happened, okay? Charlie Kirk, a conservative pundit and a person who some would say was a person who spread hate, who spoke hate. A person who was divisive in his rhetoric, right? So in Utah at a rally where he was engaged in Q&A with college students, someone, apparently it was a young man now, 22-year-old, I think his name is Dylan Robinson, I believe it is, shot and unalived Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was just 31 years old. And the saddest thing about this situation is Charlie Kirk was a father with young children. And while the two could not be more dissimilar, I still can't help but notice some of the, and I'm not trying to make comparisons between the two, but I can't help but think divisive figure shot down in the prime of his life in front of his family. I can't help but make the connection with Malcolm X. And I'm not putting him on Malcolm X's level because he wasn't on Malcolm X's level or Dr. King's level. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing that, and that's just hyperbole at this point, okay? But I'm not one that's going to come on here, and I say this on my other channel, I'm not one that's going to come on here and celebrate anyone's passing, especially in the manner in which he was taken out. It was graphic, it was violent, and honestly, it was needless because I've always been a firm believer of free speech in this country. And I think that's one of the things that people don't quite grasp is that people do have a right to offend you. They have a right to put their hands on you. The law will intervene or should intervene if that is the case. But just because somebody does or says things that you find offensive doesn't give you the right to terminate them. That's not what this country is about. This country has been specifically created under the guise of, that's one of the most important things to me, is being able to espouse my right to view to say how I view things. Now, I'm not saying that you should just go around being an absolute jerk. And you shouldn't be able to go around just saying and insulting anybody. But if you have certain viewpoints, people shouldn't just have the right to just decide upon themselves, okay, well, you need to go because I don't agree with anything you're saying. That's not what we've been about, man. And I can't help but also notice that, yesterday, of course, was the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And when 9/11 happened, I think this might have been the most united we were as a nation. We were all walking around with American flag lapels, whether it was real or not. There was literally for a couple of months a moment of unity in this country. That's when President Bush had a 90% approval rating. It took a tragedy of that magnitude to unite us. And now look at how we are as a nation, and we haven't been this far apart since at least the 60s, but maybe even before that. And I'm going to tell you another thing I'm noticing too. And maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't. I'm noticing that social media, the rhetoric on social media, is radicalizing a lot of young people, in particular, young white males. But when I say that, not just on the right, but on the left, I'm noticing, and I talked a little bit about this on the Patreon, but I don't want to use certain terminology, but I'm noticing a lot of young people in particular are being radicalized by the rhetoric and the idea and the spewing of, let's just call it hate on both sides. And, when you look at all of these incidences that are occurring, these shootings, on the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I think in Colorado, there was a school shooting. It kind of was pushed in the background, but that's at the same time, just about the same time that Charlie Kirk was shot and unalived, there was a school shooting, I think, in Colorado. And we've had the recent incidences in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Texas and Tennessee and Florida. And we had I think it was a campus shooting yesterday. I forgot exactly where it is. These things aren't happening by coincidence. There's something going on. And it's involving young people. And there seems to be some recruitment to some degree, whether it's actual people online that's helping to recruit them. I think there's something to that. And it's just the rhetoric of a lot of social media content creators. A lot of social media content creators, they're not really regulated like mainstream news outlets. A lot of these guys are saying anything and everything. Some of them don't even totally believe what they're saying. They just say it because it's profitable. And yes, I'm looking at you, Melanie King. When you constantly put up videos completely demonizing the other side, completely dehumanizing the other side, using coded language, we got to wipe them out of existence. They need to go. They're done. They're out of here. The Democrats need to be wiped out. When you talk like that to young people who still haven't quite formed their views, that don't have any life experience, and they're listening and getting all the information, it don't take long. It don't take long. A person can go from being a law-abiding, from what I understand, I think this shooter, if that is the shooter of Charlie Kirk, he went from being on one trajectory, 4.0 GPA student, scholarship, to all of a sudden becoming radicalized. And you know, some of it has to do with, you know, some of the stuff that's going on overseas. I'm not going to go into specifics, just some of the stuff I read. I don't know how true it is. Some of it has something to do with, you know, some of the things going on in the media right now. But this is an emergency situation. These aren't just isolated lone wolf situations anymore. This is becoming an epidemic in our country. We keep being more concerned about terrorism from afar. We need to address the terrorism, the domestic terrorism that has been become so commonplace. We become numb to it, and it's going to get worse. A school shooting when I was growing up was something that made national news. Now it happens so often, a school shooting, uh, you know, a mass shooting in general. It happens so often now. You know, a shooting that occurs on a military base, fort. It's become so commonplace that we don't even bat an eye about it anymore. We've become that violent. We've devolved so much that we think that's normal. And it's not normal. It's not normal. We're supposed to be, supposedly at one point in time, but we're not anymore. We're supposed to be the most powerful and prosperous nation in the world. We're supposed to be the leader of the free world. And look at it, we're an embarrassment. So I'm just going to say this in conclusion, you know, no matter how you felt about the dude, and this is another thing I feel, taking him out serves no real purpose, because if anything, you will silence his voice forever. But the next person who takes over is going to be even more radicalized than he is, and maybe more willing to not just engage in debate, but now become totally stiffened against the opposition and see the opposition as enemy, their mortal enemy, and maybe more inclined to engage in violence instead of just dialogue. And that's the long look that I tend to have that other people don't. People tend to look at everything from, you know, step one, step two. I try to look at everything from the long view. And whenever you do these types of situations where someone is a political, especially a divisive political figure, is assassinated, they become a martyr to somebody. They do. They become a martyr. And it gives them just the excuse to act on something that they have been trying to fight against or debate against in their mind. So I just hope that this don't escalate into something that pushes this nation over the brink. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.